It is time.
We're going to be checking out some music from 2015 from Lettuce. And I'm pretty sure you are very, very, very knowledgeable about Lettuce. When was the first time you ever heard them, Gideon?
Oh, first time I ever heard Lettuce, that is difficult for me to say, but it was a long time ago at this point. When I was in college, maybe between 2005 to 2009, sometime around then, is when I first heard of them. Besides getting into music in general, I went to college in Boston, and these guys are from there. So, they're legends that came out of Boston. So sometime around then, and definitely once Brooklyn Bowl opened right after that era, there was a lot of going to see Lettuce, and that's eventually how I, interacted with them was just being around them as they entered this new era that they're in now that kind of starts around with this record that we're about to watch.
Awesome. Well, why don't we get into it? I always really like their psychedelic and kind of hip-hop sensibilities. This is Lettuce off their album Crush from 2015. This is Phyllis here on Galaxy Jams Reacts.
The album art's cool too.
Yes.
Adam Smirnoff on that guitar, doing a great job.
Yeah, nice build-up. Anticipation.
Yeah, I like that drum fade too. Kind of coming in with that swag.
Yeah, like this sound is what Lettuce sounds like now in this new era.
Really dope.
Yeah, it's a great track.
That was cool little pause.
Yeah, that's a cool turnaround right there. The drums are so dynamic.
Oh, yeah. I really like how they combine like that hip hop and jazz element, the horns coming in, they're just so full. Such a great, great all around band. I remember when the first time I ever heard them, I accidentally happened upon them because I was really into this band that was more regionally, I guess. You heard of Lake Trout?
Yeah.
And
I heard of them.
Yeah, and so I was all in this band Lake Trout, and they had recorded in like Tokyo or something like that. And while I was looking up that, I just kept seeing this Lettuce Tokyo tape kind of thing that was kept coming up, like somebody taped a show. And I was like, oh, I'm going to check this one out too. And I kind of popped it down. It was just kind of in the same realm. And I was like, oh, I fell in love with them. I was like, wow, this is another great band I can get into. What about you, Mike? What do you think?
So I really like how you mentioned, Gideon, about the drums, because that's something that I think about whenever I listen to Lettuce. And especially in this album cut, I really appreciate how rock steady Adam Deitch can be, because, personally as a drummer, when I'm playing, like, I just want to go ballistic and do a bunch of fills and go all over the place. And I think that there's something to be said about keeping that really, really steady backbone for the band to really shine, and then finding those little cracks and crevices where you can kind of put your own like personality into it while still like maintaining like a really rock solid groove. And I think that Adam does this in spades with this song. And so kudos to him. It sounds really good. And it's one of those things where it's like you wouldn't pay attention to the drummer, but you just hear that every single thing he's doing is totally to kind of fit like a certain aesthetic, for their band. And, it's really, really, he does a great job with this. What did you think, Gideon?
I agree with that. I think I think this is a quintessential modern Lettuce song. So I think that that is a true statement about the drums, because that is one of the things that makes the band special. But I don't know, if you see them do this song live, they play it in like quadruple time. Like the drums kind of go back and forth and create a totally different vibe on the song, depending how fast he plays and how dynamic it is. So it is a really cool and almost like hypnotic song because of that. So I think it definitely has a lot of cool elements. And like I keep saying, like, this is like the modern sound. Before this, Lettuce had kind of like a different lineup from the beginning of their career, and this album's the first one where it's their new, what the lineup is now. So it really has this sound that they sound like now. Even a few albums, you said 2015, it feels like a long time ago, but it's cool to hear their sound now and how it kind of emanates from this.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And one thing that I really appreciate about Lettuce is that they work really, really hard on, to cultivate like a certain sound and like a certain aesthetic, really, like if you look at it. And to have a quintessential sound, I feel like is really, really difficult, because that means that you have to have a sound that's like wholly their own. And in such a well-trodden genre that is funk music, I feel like Lettuce does a really, really good job of like keeping to the tried and true roots while also offering different tools in the toolbox to differentiate themselves, from their peers. And so you're right. This does sound like when I hear this, like it sounds just like Lettuce, and it's really, really difficult for a band to get to that point to do something like that.
Yeah, I agree.
I just wish I was cool enough for this to be my theme song while walking down the street.
Yeah.
Let's get back into it. It's got that walking shuffle.
Sounds like you have like,
a
$500 bill in your pocket.
Yeah. I got to spend this.
Exactly. And you're like walking around, and it's 8:00 at night on a Friday, and you got the whole town ready, for you. And
I know this kind of feels like 1:30 in the morning to me.
Oh yeah. Really cool keyboard work, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, that was nice.
Yeah, those hits are really fun. dope.
Yeah, it's a great track.
Yeah.
And I like how they're able to achieve this like huge buildup without like taking them, 10 minutes to do it.
Mm-hmm. I like where this is going. That bass line was pretty cool coming in.
Very 70s outro vibe.
Yeah.
Really nice outro.
Yeah, it's great.
Nice.
Yeah, that was epic. So, Gideon, you mentioned that you saw them in college. So, when was the point where you turned from a fan to deciding to work with their organization? What made that happen in your mind? And then how did that happen? Like, did you decide, oh, I want to book them for a show, and then you called, their manager, or like, how did that all go down?
So for many years I worked for Live for Live Music, and that's how I got involved with Brooklyn Comes Alive. But I still do Jazz Fest late night shows with Live for Live Music. I still partner with them on their series, and a lot of my relationship with Lettuce kind of stems from these other shows that were not Lettuce shows, but were late night shows that we came up with these unique lineups. Got to work with the members of the band and pair them with all sorts of other players, whether in New Orleans or in Brooklyn. There was a lot of interacting and kind of collaborating with them. So when I started my own promotion business down here in Miami, and I'm doing my event down here, and obviously our event in New Orleans, Days Between New Orleans, there's just an opportunity to work together and to bring them in to be part of our events. And at this point, they're on the list no matter what event it is, because they're Lettuce and they're the best. So, it all kind of goes back to that, like I said, around the time that this album was coming out, is when I was starting to kind of work with them on other shows, after parties, late night shows, etc. That has built to having them on most of my events and doing a lot of work with Lettuce.
That's really cool. And I really like taking that unique approach to essentially make super groups out of these different bands. And I see that that's something that's happening more and more often. And it's always so exciting, to see, how people are working together and being on stage and their organizations. I think it's like a chance for everyone to kind of dip their toe in the water before, launching into more comprehensive relationships together. So that's a really, really great way to start that off. And that was a great first pick, EJ. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, I really, really, really was glad that was on the list.
Hi, this is Mike with Galaxy Jams Reacts. We hope that you enjoyed that React video. Be sure to check out the links below of when we're going to be live streaming our next show, and also how to watch full episodes. Please hit that subscribe button. Every single one helps.